Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Cheryl.
Hello, Chris.
I just talked to Monica this morning, so maybe we can talk after this.
Ken Anderson sent me a note saying that I guess they did look at that property, but I still don't know how big it is.
I
Ken
couldn't figure
didn't
it out either.
mention.
Yeah.
It didn't look very big. But he said, don't worry about it. It's not an issue right now, pretty much.
Well, that's what makes me worried.
That's what makes me
What
worry.
they say.
Yeah. And then thank you for the information on the riverboat.
Okay, sure.
Ivy, you're doing it. Okay, it was under your name. So there you go. That's
Thank you.
That's your forward.
Okay.
Don't use the pointer. And
Okay.
always a little bit of a delay, and then give me a moment to get it up on the screen for you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Energy Environmental Committee on Friday, November 12th. I am Mavis Bates, your fearless leader. Would the clerk please call us to order? I mean, call the roll. I call this to order, you call the roll.
Woznicki,
Present.
Allen,
Allen present.
Caius,
Caius present.
Molina,
Molina present.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Wallace, Bates.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Todd? Oh, Todd Wallace is here. Hello, Todd. Hi.
Good morning, Todd.
Is there any public comment in person or online, please? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to environmental.
About
Jody?
approval.
Hello.
Point of order, madam. Approval of minutes. Did we
Movement.
do that?
Oh, I missed
I'll
that.
move.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Caius second.
I second. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen,
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Woznicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Now, is there any public comment online or off or here? Okay. Ms. Wolnick, please.
I will turn it over to Ivy Klee for the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. This is Ivy Klee, Kane County Resource Management Coordinator. Today, I have a presentation for you all on the animal control solar array. I have a few slides put together. So originally, a few months ago, we spoke with animal control staff, and we wanted to do a report on the savings of the project and kind of an update on how everything's been going. All right. So the review that I conducted was over the course of January 1st of 2020 through August 1st of 2021. The solar array was implemented, I believe, in 2017. However, the data that I looked at specifically was over the course of this timeline. So we have a full year review of 2020 and then just about 7 months of 2021. So the values that we're going to be looking at today, the net billed amount of electricity. So this number looks like the net amount of electricity that Geneva Utilities bills the animal control facility. So in Geneva Utilities is the energy provider for the animal control facility. So that net billed amount looks like the supplemented electricity that's delivered to the building on that supplements the solar electricity. And then there is also some solar energy produced that isn't used at the point in time that it is produced. So then that goes back to Geneva Utilities. So all of that is wrapped up into the net billed amount. And then we also looked at the solar kilowatt hours that were produced from the solar panels. And that data came directly from WCP Solar, which is the company that provided the solar panels on the animal control facility. And we also looked at demand for electricity, the actual facility load, which is the solar kilowatt hours that were produced and used by the building, and then also the electricity that was provided directly from Geneva Utilities. So that's what the actual facility ends up using. And then with that amount, I was able to calculate a hypothetical cost that the animal control facility would be paying for electricity had we not implemented the solar system. And there is a lease payment that animal control pays to WCP Solar for the solar panels each month. And with all of those values, I was able to calculate a projected an estimated monthly savings. So just to give you a quick overview of the billing rates that Geneva Utility has before we look directly at the data. So there's two different billing rates, which did kind of make the calculations a little bit tricky to understand. There is a general service rate and a medium general service rate for commercial properties. So when the demand for the facility is less than 25 kilowatts, the general service rate is the rate that is billed to that facility. And you can see that there is a cost of just around 11 cents per kilowatt hour for the first 500 kilowatt hours used. And then anything over that is going to have a different rate of 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And then there's going to be a customer charge on each bill each month of $14, which is kind of just like a general customer charge for processing. And then anytime that the demand for the facility is greater than 25 kilowatts, which you'll be able to see doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it happens in the summer months. When there is a lot of demand for electricity in the area, and then that puts pressure on Geneva Utilities systems. When this does happen, the medium general service rate is the rate that is used. And this does cause the bill to jump a little bit, which you'll be able to see in the data. So with this bill, there is an energy charge of just one rate, 3 cents per kilowatt hour. There's a demand charge per kilowatt, which is $22.82. And then the customer charge is a little bit higher at $50. Just to quickly give you an idea of what, when we're going to be looking at the hypothetical cost without solar and then the actual estimated savings, I did only use the general service rate to calculate the hypothetical cost for that number that is the calculation of what we would be paying had we not implemented the solar system. So in those months where the demand is higher than 25, the amount of electricity and kilowatt hours used was very high. So I was unable to project a demand number, which would have affected the cost of that medium general service rate. So just to keep everything keep everything in the same line, I did use the general service rate. So when there is a month where the demand is higher, the hypothetical cost without solar, most likely that calculation is a little bit off. That is most likely a lot higher than what I calculated, meaning that savings for that month is most likely a lot higher than what I have.
Ivy?
Yep, go ahead.
So demand charge per kilowatt is $22?
Yes.
That's like 1,000 times more than or?
So
Whatever.
it is a little bit confusing. With each bill, there is a demand, and you'll be able to see it in the next slide. The demand on each bill varies, but it's never going to be, I don't think there was ever a time where it was higher than 30. So it usually is under 25. It's like, it varies between like 11 to 19, 17, some months is 21. And then I don't think it's ever been higher than 30. So there were a few months where it was 28, 26, and 29, I believe. So it does make the bill jump a little bit higher in those months. But to keep everything, to keep the,
Yeah, keep it consistent.
exactly, yeah. And then one other note before I show the slide with the calculations and the data. I did discuss with Animal Control Facility where in Geneva Utilities where we're able to see a credit. So there were some months where the solar system produced more electricity than the building needed. And in those months, we actually made more electricity than we used.
Okay.
So some months we were billed.
Net metered?
So the way that Geneva Utilities shows the credit, you can't see it directly on the bill, but I was able to see it on the back end of the data. So instead of a credit in the form of dollars, they credit in the form of kilowatt hours. So for example, in May of 2020, let's say that we produced 500 kilowatt hours more than we used. In the next month, in June of 2020, they would credit our bill for that month 500 kilowatt hours. So that was a discussion that I had with Animal Control Facility, where we able to see those months and where we able to see the credit in our bill. So we can't see it on the bill, but you can see it in the back end of the data.
Okay, great.
So in the next slide, I know these are a lot of numbers, but I will summarize in the following slide. These are the 2020 calculations. You can see in May of 2020, we had a month where we were billed for 0 kilowatt hours. So that means that we produced more electricity with the solar panels than we used. And in the month of August, there was that high demand of 28. So again, that the hypothetical cost without solar most likely is incorrect or off by a little bit. So the estimated monthly savings for that month is most likely higher.
I can see why he was freaking out about his bills. If it went from 14 to 100 to 500 to 800, that would, okay.
So then just to summarize the 2020 findings, I have the annual totals for that month, or for the year, excuse me. So the net billed kilowatt hours was 27,000, right around there. The solar panels produced 65,000 kilowatt hours. The actual facility load was 92,000 kilowatt hours. And our monthly net billed amount was just around $3,400. The hypothetical cost without solar would have been just around $9,300. The lease payments come in at around $1,200. So the estimated yearly savings number that I came up with for 2020 is $4,700. So I did look back at the files for when this project was implemented, and WCP Solar did provide some projections for each year after implementation of the solar panels. So and since the project was implemented in 2017, 2020 would have been the year 3 of the project. So for that year of 2020, the electric production that was projected by WCP Solar was 70,000 kilowatt hours. And the utility net savings number, including the lease payments, was just at $3,000. And the contract with WCP Solar states that they must provide at least 80% of the projected electric outcome. 65,000 kilowatt hours is 92.7% of the projected outcome. So we are well within that 80%. And the savings, again, could be potentially more due to that month that did have a high demand charge. But according to the calculations that I came up with, we are well above our projected savings amount, which is great. And moving forward to 2021, so I looked at, I had data for January of 2021 through July of 2021. And just looking at these calculations, again, in March of 2021, we had another month where these solar panels produced more electricity than the building needed. So we were billed 0 kilowatt hours. And then you can see the following month is also low because we did get that credit the following month for that bill. But again, you can see how month to month the net billed kilowatt hours does vary. And then in June and July, those two months were higher demand months. So again, those estimated monthly savings are most likely higher than the numbers that I was able to come up with. So since I only had 7 months of 2021, I put together a monthly average number. And then using that number, I calculated a projected outcome for 2021 for annual totals, which will be on this slide. So again, these are projected numbers that I use based on the average from 2021. So the net billed kilowatt hours, we hope will come out to just around 30,000 kilowatt hours. The solar kilowatt hours that we hope to be produced are just around 62,000 kilowatt hours. The actual facility load is 93,000 kilowatt hours. The monthly net bill will hopefully come out to 4,200, and the hypothetical cost without solar most likely would come in around 9,500. Lease payments are going to stay the same at 1,200. So the estimated yearly savings, according to my calculations for 2021, we hope to come out at right around $4,000. And in looking at the projections from WCP Solar, the electric production that they projected was right around 70,000 kilowatt hours. That number is 89% of the projected outcome. The projected number that I have calculated is 89% of the projected outcome. So we're well within the contract terms. And then our utility net savings that was projected by WCP was $3,178. So again, that estimated yearly savings number we hope will be above that. Okay, and just moving on to some conclusions and observations that I found while doing this report. The solar output is within the range of the contract with WCP Solar. So everything's working great so far. The savings performance is greater than the projected outcome. There is a high demand for electricity in the summer months. So I think in going forward, this is something to look to in the future and see when this happens, look for it in the summer months, just so animal control facilities are aware that the bill may spike a little bit during those months. And then in going through a lot of the bills, there were some errors that came up that I clarified with Geneva Utilities. And I was told that those errors were corrected, but that I need to speak with their finance department to be able to see where those errors were corrected. So a lot of the bills that I had showed that, so I think for 2020, there were 5 months of bills that showed that we were not charged for any kilowatt hour usage, whereas the data showed something very different. So when I spoke with the director of Geneva Utilities, he said that that was corrected on their record. However, I wasn't able to see that. So I do need to speak with their finance department just to clarify everything, but he confirmed that the data that I had did look correct. So, and in going forward, I plan to work with the animal control facility staff so that they can better understand the billing, know what's to be expected. And now we kind of have a baseline for what we're expecting each month. And if something seems off, we can reach out to Geneva Utilities. And from here on in, the bills will be itemized by service. So animal control facility will be able to see how much they're paying directly for electric, also for water, and also for electric demand. And just an observation, the bills will continue to vary throughout the year depending on the weather. So I believe that wraps up my presentation. I did just have a few other numbers before I complete the presentation on what the projection is over the course of the 20-year life of the system. So the projection numbers from WCP Solar, they project over the course of the 20 years, will produce 1.3 million kilowatt hours from that system, and their projected savings after the lease payments will come in at around $76,000. So
How many years is that?
20.
20?
Mhm. So the estimate, and that's with their projected number. So ideally, according to the 2020 calculations that I had, our savings was higher than that. So hopefully we'll come out higher than that. And one last quick note, I did speak with Brett Youngstead earlier this week. I learned that he's actually out for surgery today. So I gave this presentation to him and another staff member on Monday. He was very happy with the presentation. He felt a lot more comfortable with the bills coming in. So I'm glad that we were able to clarify everything for him. And he was very happy to know that he's saving money.
Okay, thank you, Ivy.
Mhm.
Mr. Caius.
Yes, Caius. Yeah, this is a great program. It's very exciting to see the savings. I'm not sure I quite understand, and I don't want to slow this down because it looks like we got to cover a lot of stuff, but the demand
Mhm.
is that's not a kilowatt hour. There's no label. It's just, it's a multiplier. It's a factor that multiplies. So if you use a
Yes.
demand, then you multiply it times that. Okay.
Yes, it's in kilowatts, not in kilowatt hours.
It's in, but it is kilowatts. Demand 29 kilowatts?
Yes.
Okay, 'cause I'm just looking at the columns. It says, I didn't quite understand the first part anyway, but okay.
Any other questions? For Nikki?
Question, Alan?
Yes, Miss Allen, please.
Good morning. Thank you. Ivy, thank you for doing all of this work. It really helps. I think the misunderstanding for us when we were deciding to take on this program was that our billing would be more like about $120 a month for the at least say $50 to be on their system, the administration charge, and then the rest of the electricity would largely be provided by our own solar panels that we had bought a large enough field to service our own needs. And the thing that we would be disappointed about was that Geneva at the end of the year would not give us a credit back for any extra, but would just simply absorb that. So we would be kind of cheated out of the extra that we had earned. I think that what we didn't focus on was the fact that maybe what the panels would provide would be approximately 85%. So we'd always be paying for at least 15% of our usage of electricity. So those numbers would be higher. I think that's you get excited about a program and you say, wow, at the moment we're scheduling $10,000 a month. Now we'll only have to schedule around $2,000 a month. But the fact is we're still buying a lot of electricity. So thanks for helping explain that program. Can I ask this question logistically? Does the animal control building also use gas so that in the winter the electricity is used to fire up the systems, And then in the summer, the electricity is, of course, providing air conditioning and so on.
You think so?
Yeah, I believe predominantly in the winter, they're likely using natural gas for their heating system. And then in the summer, it's the electricity for the air conditioning. So I think that's one of the things that Ivy and I want to speak with animal control about, because they can increase their savings even more if they're able to keep that demand number down. So maybe raising their temperature set point in the summer by a few degrees, so long as the animals and the folks are still comfortable, that might get those high demands down a little bit.
It discouraged sweater wearing in the summer, in other words.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, thanks for such a thorough report, Ivy. This has been kind of a mystery, and it really helps to have the numbers.
And Miss Allen, thank you for some of that your historical comments about what was going on when you were installing this and deciding to do it. Any other
We use-
questions or comments, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Brown here, just a simple,
I don't think that one works.
just a simple question. How many years are left on the contract?
Well, so 2017 was the start of the program, and we're in the 4th year.
Okay,
So 16.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? So I have a comment, which is, thank you, Ivy, for doing this, because by clarifying that the animal control shelter is saving money, that is a huge, that is a big deal, because I hope that in the future, the county is going to have many more solar programs. And of course, we've got the big solar project coming. And if all of a sudden somebody was questioning whether this was going to save us money or not, that would be a huge bad. It'd be bad for PR for solar panels for Kane County. So thank you very much for clarifying this. It's a great report.
Madam Chairman, this
Yes,
is Alan. Our goal is to get solar panels on the jail roof and on the judicial center roof. And when we do those projects, we'll probably want to name them after Mike Donahue.
Okay.
What do we have them already?
Question, Kofi.
Copey, Mr. Copey, please, go ahead.
Oh, hi, thank you very much, Madam Chair. My question pertains to the value if we assume the ownership of a solar array versus these individual contracts. And I've been pursuing and asking questions about the feasibility in that regards, and we really haven't given it much discussion, to be honest. We have this discussion was very in depth in regards to a contract situation, but what it does not reflect is, and it doesn't need to, and I understand that, is that, and basically this is the case in point, is is there an actual cost savings if we were the owners of the array outright? Is there a revenue source there? And if there is, or is it just a raw expense? We have yet to hear this feasibility. And if
Mr.
we
Copey.
intend, yes,
We did
Hello?
we did an extensive, I'm sorry if I interrupted you. Do you need to go on?
sure. So if we intend to create a solar array that we are the ownership, then we need to make that, I believe, and maybe this is just me, but we should have a separate entry in the budget for this solar production, and we need to determine which department it's going to be headed under. And those discussions have not gone anywhere either. I've asked on several occasions, and I'm hoping maybe we could consider those ideas.
Yes, those
That's
are
what-
all, I believe that we have, I know that for the solar project at the JC, we did an extensive study on the cost savings of leasing, doing a PPA, power purchase agreement versus ownership. Power purchase agreement means you purchase the power. Ownership means you buy you own the equipment. So the guiding light here is that the law is written and the tax law is written such that because Kane County doesn't pay taxes, we have no tax appetite that would give us the savings that, for example, green energy will get. So there's a long list of incentives that can be put to good use, put to the advantage of a for-profit company like GRNE Solar that we would just waste. It would just, go up into thin air. So we did the studies. We proved that by leasing or doing the power purchase agreement is the other name for that, we saved many millions more dollars than we would have by purchasing the equipment and owning it ourselves. So because the power purchase agreement is under really the auspices of buildings. Jody, you can give me the right words here if you want. Then Chris Allen's department is receiving the savings because they are also putting up the land.
Yeah, and I can just add to a specific example on the multi-use building. We did price out doing a solar system that we would purchase and install, and we were looking at a 40% grant for that system. So we would have only paid for 60%. 60% grant. We would have only paid for 40% of the system. And the way the numbers shook out, the county would not have seen savings from that system for 35 years.
35 years payback because we're not receiving those incentives.
So yeah, it was even with a 60% grant, it was not a wise investment because we wouldn't actually receive credit on that investment for 35 years.
So without the grant, it would have been 70 years.
It would have
Or
been
more, or 80
ridiculously
years.
longer.
Madam Chair, this is Kopi again.
Yes.
I understand. I remember all that discussion, and I understand that portion of that, and that was related to these contract conditions. Now, but what I'm saying is we're bound to that single concept because there is not somebody in line taking advantage of a tax situation. And if that tax situation was remedied to where we can invest in solar to where those profits are somehow realized, would that be a legislative act?
It would have to go back to the state legislature, and they just spent most of the last year passing the new Clean Energy Jobs Act. It's called Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. So the vehicle for governments to incentivize many things is through a tax incentive, and we just can't take advantage of that. But fortunately, this power purchase agreement is available to us so that we can take advantage of those tax incentives through the lease agreement. We're getting the same benefits that we would as if we were owning it ourselves. But because of the taxes, because of the way the legislature is written, there's no benefit to us for owning. Maybe someday it will be. And if we weren't a government entity, everything would be different. But If we were not a government
Right.
entity, we could do what you're talking about and make money and, you know, gain those savings. There's no way we can do that. We don't pay taxes.
Okay. All right. Well, wishful thinking, I guess. Thank you very much for all your effort.
It's a good wish.
Yeah.
It's just not, not in the cards. So, okay.
So it's
Thank you,
flat out
Ivy.
not feasible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Copey. You're always coming up with good ideas for us, new ideas. Okay, thank you, Miss Ivy Clee, Miss Clee. Okay, our next on our agenda is Jennifer Jarland.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Jarland, Recycling Coordinator. I have one resolution before you today. I don't have a presentation, but I'll just quickly go over the resolution. This is the renewal for our electronics recycler contract with eWorks. And the resolution simply states that the equipment's banned from the landfill. The law specifies that we work with this specific recycler that is assigned to us. And luckily it is eWorks and has continued to be. They have been working with us for 8 years and done a fantastic job. This is the last year of a contract extension possible on the contract that is written. And so this is authorizing that final year extension. And in that last, in the therefore of the resolution, it does mention that what comes next will be another new contract or an MOU. And the reason I have written that in there is to suggest that really it's not something that we go out to bid for anymore because of the law and the way that it is written. We are assigned a recycler by the clearinghouse, and that's the recycler we have to work with. We don't have a choice necessarily. We always write in our cover letter, we have a pre-existing relationship that's very successful and please give us eWorks again, and they have to date. But so I'm just suggesting that really instead of a bid or a contract, it just needs to be an MOU specifying all of the terms of our agreement with eWorks and what they will do for the county at no cost under the law. This service rider does include a couple of additional changes to the written contract. So just to put it in writing, it adds the newest recycling center location in Aurora at the Vet Tech facility. And the additional materials that we are now collecting at the recycling centers through eWorks, though they are primarily an electronics recycler, they have diversified because they are a nonprofit whose main mission is to employ people with developmental disabilities, and they want to keep that business going. And electronics, because of the volatile environment of costs and revenues for commodities and the way that the law works and the reimbursements that they get from the manufacturers, they've decided to go into other things, including the clothing, textiles, shoes, and accessories through their partnership with ReWearable, which is another organization that's a nonprofit helping people with developmental disabilities. Amazing partnership. We also are taking books, cardboard, shredded paper, and other paper-based fiber material and working directly with West Rock and Aurora. We have still got our Pace Setter Books partner who comes and assesses the books for reuse and redistribution, and then everything else, including the cardboard, shredded paper, office paper, all goes to West Rock for recycling. And then they're also taking scrap metal and other household appliances like toasters, blenders, power tools that are not written in under the law, but that they are able to take and process as scrap metal and get what they can from it. So all of those additional materials are commodities, and there is a revenue associated with them. Of course, there's some expense with eWorks staff person taking them and, you know, managing the materials. However, on the back end, particularly, for example, the paper, each Gaylord that is delivered to West Rock, it's a feedstock for their process of making new paper out of it. So they pay for per Gaylord, and it's not a lot, but it's something. And so I've been talking with Jeff for years about these things that do make money. Can we have a revenue share with that, like we used to get on electronics back in the other old days? And so in this, we have an agreement to share the revenue from these commodities at 50%. That Kane County will get 50% of the revenue made off of those commodities.
Good job.
And, you know, again, it just depends on how much we get. And so there's no way to really project what that's going to look like. But at least in this contract, we'll see it's kind of a pilot year this coming year to see what does that look like with these different commodities. And if it's, you know, if it works out at zero or something in the end after the labor costs and whatnot, that, you know, we would get nothing, but we won't ever owe anything. So it's a very safe bet. And we might find a revenue source there. And then events, we've just written in that they will be to be as scheduled because the contract states that there will be 8 a year, but that's not the case anymore. Right now, as it stands in our tentative 2022 event schedule, it will be just the extravaganza that will include all of these items, electronics, clothing, books, etc.
Where is that?
Hmm?
Just the extravaganza will include all of these?
Right, that will be the only event. And the reason being is because we have all of these recycling
Yes,
centers set up that
yes.
people can go to year round, you know, 5 or
Right.
6 days a week. So, but we still intend to have the extravaganza. The other events that we have planned next year, just FYI, are shredding events or for paint and aerosol products, things that we don't take at the recycling centers. So
Okay.
this is, yeah, so this resolution just extends the contract for 1 year with these changes.
So is this for all of the 3 recycling locations? It's the same contract?
eWorks manages all 3 of the recycling centers, yes.
And the
So
one in-
they are the
and one in
collector
Aurora?
and the
Okay.
recycler for electronics. And they're the throughput for all these other materials that I just listed.
Where does Vet Tech come in?
I'm sorry, I can't.
The veterans, what's the name of the Vet Tech?
Vet Tech is the host at 911 North Lake Street in the old textile factory. Yep, Vet Tech is the business entity that we're working with. They're also a nonprofit.
So how do Vet Tech and eWorks work together?
They have been working together for years, actually, with refurbishing laptops and redistributing them into the community as a separate agreement to the county. But now it's become a 3-way partnership for this particular recycling center.
Thank you. And do you want to talk a little bit about what we need to do to try to boost the Aurora Center?
I presented on that last
Yeah.
month also. Right now, we've installed signs at the roadside facing both directions. They are both on the east side near the driveway. We can't put a sign on the west side of the street. But I've worked with the city streets department as well as our sign maker to get signs on the pole there that are quite outstanding. They're very large. And it says Kane County Recycles Recycling Center with the symbol and arrow pointing down the driveway. We have done ads in the newspaper, and we are going to be having a event there on December 4th, which is a Saturday. We're calling it a mini event, and it's going to be advertised like a Kane County recycling event with all of these items that will be accepted, not just electronics. There is a fee for TVs and monitors. And that day, we also will be taking aerosol products and propane cans there. Those also have a fee, but everything else is free. So we're advertising that. We'll be doing a lot of press. I continue to try to break into the city of Aurora staff to request their assistance in outreach and advertising for this location as a service to their residents. But I still have not had luck there.
So I'm trying to help you, and I think I'm not succeeding yet myself, but I went to, well, I might ask the committee about this. I'm thinking about having some kind of a ribbon cutting to get more enthusiasm from the mayor of Aurora. And so I called the Chamber of Commerce. I believe they organize all of the ribbon cuttings in Aurora, and they didn't call me back yet. So any other ideas would be great. I want to get the
this
mayor
event is-
enthusiastic.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think this event, we hope it will be a publicity event and get the word out there more. I am going to print little flyer posters about the event and have something on there about this is a permanent facility now. And I'm going to send those to the libraries and, you
Mhm.
know, City Hall and all of that. In fact, I think I might go down and, you know, actually, what's the, I'm looking for that saying about pounding the pavement, but I'm going to go and hang posters at Woodman's and whatever. I'm just going to go hang them up. And
If you
in
give me a
advance of
few,
the event.
that
and
would be great. Give me a
try
few and I will
old
try to
school,
get them up
okay.
at the city at City Hall. And
Yep.
do we have a press release about this? Did you already do a press release?
I
for the
have not yet,
event?
but I am going to, yes.
Okay, because then
yes.
I can take that to the mayor's office too and
Yeah.
have all the details so I don't get them
Yeah,
wrong.
usually we advertise events just a couple weeks in advance, but I do have it on my list to get that press release written next week and the article so that we have it in the can and we can start using it to get it out there. But even, you know, newspapers for press releases, you can't send it too early. It has
Okay.
to be like the week before or they don't publish it. So
Okay, if you could get that to me, then I can take it to the mayor's office because I don't want to screw up the details. So,
thanks. Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely will do
All
that.
right,
I'll share it
great.
with everyone.
okay, thank you. We have to get a motion here.
I'll move it.
Oh, Nikki moves.
Alan, second.
Alan seconds. Any more discussion? Please take the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina, Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Woznicki,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
and passes.
Okay, thank you. Sustainability, back to Ms. Klee.
I'll turn it over to Karen Miller.
Good morning. Karen Miller with the Development Department and also the Fox Valley Sustainability Network. I'd like to strongly encourage you to attend our next virtual forum, which is scheduled for Thursday, November 18th from 1 o'clock to 2:30. We will be providing an overview of the key elements of the Illinois Climate and Equitable Jobs Act that was passed by the state legislature in September, and how this new legislation will be implemented moving forward. We'll also learn about the Chicago Regional Climate Action Plan that was developed through the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and its implementation approach. And then our own Ivy Klee will be teaching us about Kane County's efforts to update our sustainability plan and what that will mean for the Fox Valley communities. Our other speakers, besides Ivy, will be Delmar Gillis from Elevate, Carolyn Wooten from the Sierra Club, and Edith Macra from the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. So please go to the Fox Valley Sustainability Network.com website to register.
Mr. Copey. Are you still there, Mr. Copey? Nope. Well, I hope he joins that meeting. Okay, Mr. Caius.
Yes, will that be, I see that we've got it right across.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Copey, did you hear Ms. Miller talk about the Fox Valley Sustainability Network on November 18th at 1 o'clock? We'll be talking about the new CEJA bill. So maybe that would be interesting to you.
Yes, it sure will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Where are we? Mr. Caius.
Yes, Caius, yep. Will that be available on YouTube or is it going to be recorded? Zoom?
I think they generally do record those.
It'll be on their website within a day or two.
I think we've got our land ac has been moved for land acquisition for Forest Preserve because of the holidays. So I think it
Is it the
conflicts
same
with that. So
time?
I'd like to be able to log on later just to make sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Ivy, what are you speaking on, Ms. Klee?
So Edith Macra is going to be presenting on the climate action plan that the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus published earlier this year. So I'm going to be talking about King County's intent to work with the climate action plan and implement that into our sustainability planning.
Great, great. Yeah,
It'll just be like a quick,
that's a
quick
little-
wrap up.
That's a little gleam in my eye.
Exactly.
get us
And a great way to promote, you know, that we're incorporating the climate action plan into our work.
Fantastic. Okay, back to Ms. Miller. please.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, in response to residents' concern that was brought to Madam Chairman Parag's and also Chairman Bates's attention, I've been asked to do some research on the herbicide dicamba and its effects on the foliage. So what I did was I contacted the Illinois Environmental Commission, which is a commission that brings together the Illinois environmental community to influence decision makers and ensure clean air, clean water, and healthy communities. Last Friday, I spoke with Elliot Clay, who is the state program director of the IEC. He gave me some information on dicamba. It is a broad spectrum herbicide used for post-emergent control of broadleaf weeds. It's used in industrial and agricultural settings. Dicamba is mainly used on soybean crops in the ag settings. It's also used in residential settings by the lawn care industry. In either case, the volatile nature of dicamba remains active for a long time and can drift from the intended target and damage or destroy other vegetation. The USDA currently has guidelines for use, which Elliot is researching for us, but the penalties levied against the lawn care companies are a lot less than against the ag industry. There are efforts to make it harder for the average consumer to obtain, and there's also a lot of opposition by the farm bureaus and lawn care companies to any legislation that would prohibit the use. The Illinois Environmental Council questions the enforcement that's been happening for dicamba. And they're currently drafting legislation for Illinois to ban dicamba and 24D, which is Roundup, by lawn care companies, but doubt that there will be any movement since 2022 is an election year. So instead, they plan to provide education to the public. The IEC predicts eventually dicamba will probably be banned federally because of lawsuits that are going on. And I asked what we could do here in King County, and Elliot suggested that we consider passing ordinances that require setbacks from sensitive areas for those that are using dicamba. And in future months, I should have additional information from Elliot and what the IEC is doing on this issue.
Great report. So do you think we will be having an ordinance? Will you be helping us to write an ordinance, or how does that work?
That would be something that, you know, the committee, if that's something that you're interested in, we could take a look at that and see if there are any other examples out there, or if the IEC could give us some assistance with that.
Okay, since we will be running out of time soon, and Rob, are you there? I apologize. At the beginning of this meeting, Jody said, Mavis, here's your backup plan. Rob can do the dams next month. So Rob, thank you for your indulgence. I think we'll have to do that because I would like to ask Ms. Miller. Well, I'd like to ask the rest of the committee, do you feel that we have a consensus here that we would like to move forward with an ordinance that would somehow do these setbacks or somehow restrict dicamba in the county? I mean, we could be a leader here. Or are there other ordinances in other counties? Do you know?
I don't know. I can ask Elliot if he's aware of those and do some research.
But we could get this dicamba ball rolling. We've got Mr. Caius is dying to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, you're doing just fine, man. Just, I think that we should investigate it.
Okay, good.
I don't know if that means, you know, it doesn't mean jumping into it right away, but I'd certainly like to know more about it.
We could get a
Whatever the-
plan for a plan.
And certainly if the state or puts a overall ban, we should be following suit to make sure that it's enforced in the county.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a bottom up push. Ms. Wonicky.
Thank you. I think we should get the state's attorney's office involved, just to make sure we have all bases covered.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, Alan?
Just a moment, please, Mr. Brown.
Oh, you can let Ms. Allen go.
Okay,
She's on
Ms.
the
Allen, go
committee.
ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say, we have a rural resource here in our close connection with the Farm Bureau. So let's also bring in Mr. Kenyon and Steve Arnold and see the directions that they are probably going into. I'm sure that this would be on their radar as well, as they just want to make things better. So maybe we could bring them in as well.
Ms. Miller, would that be something you could?
I can contact the Farm Bureau if you'd like.
Good. Next.
Ms. Allen and I obviously were thinking the same, because I was going to suggest that you involve the Agricultural Committee as well in this decision.
Okay. So we'll leave that in your hands for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Ms. Allen?
I was just saying thank you to our fellow speaker.
Yes, yes. So that's.
You're welcome.
Karen Miller, thank you. Thank you for your report. And I am thrilled that we are working on this because it seems very important right now. And those.
Madam Chairman Strathman?
Yes, Ms. Strathman?
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that if we work in conjunction with the state and get all our ducks in a row, our input to the state can help write this, and their input to us can be for the best possible outcome for everybody.
Okay, I'm excited that Kane County can help lead the way on this possibly.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Wonicky, did you have a comment?
Nope.
Okay.
all done.
Any other comments from anybody? All right, then we will do the river dams next month. Rob, thank you. I hope you're there.
Yeah, he's listening in. He is available for any questions ahead of time. He did mention the whole PowerPoint is in the packet if anybody wants to review it ahead of time, but it is about a 25-minute presentation. And so we'll hold that off till next month.
And we'll look forward to it. And I'm sure the dams will still be there next month. I did have a comment about the IEC. I don't know if all of you know this already, but the IEC is an umbrella organization that includes the Sierra Club, the NRDC, maybe 50 other organizations in Illinois. And we look to them. Sierra Club often looks to them for our lobbying priorities. So every year Sierra Club has maybe 5 bills that we go knock on every single legislator's door in Illinois to try to get passed. Those are our priorities. In IEC, we often, like the PFAS last year, PFAS was a big push for us. And that's that terrible chemical, the forever chemicals. And so if we can get the IEC, if the IEC is working on this, they could set this possible. And, if we're pushing them and they're pushing us, they're pushing, the legislators. The IEC would be a great place to work on this, to work through this, to get a bill passed, to get a bill passed, and maybe an ordinance. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, I learned a couple of days ago that the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership we will be holding in February, our new network will be conversations about conservation with our legislators. And Elliot will be speaking at that about legislation. We will also have the president of the Illinois Sierra Club. He was the one that usually hosts this event for us. And so that may be something to put on your radar. I'll bring more information about it as we
You know
get
the day for
closer.
that?
Let me look that up real quick.
Okay, that's Jack Darren.
Right.
I am on the Illinois Sierra Club Chapter Executive Committee.
That would be Wednesday, February 9th.
Okay.
And it's a new network.
What do you mean a new network?
Generally, that means we invite you to bring your lunch and it lasts from 12 until 1:30.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
And we'll also be inviting our legislators to attend.
Okay.
Sometimes we've had some great discussions about up and coming legislation and.
All right, so I would invite everybody on this committee to come as well. So that'll be you know me, I like something to sink my teeth into, I guess you could say. Any other comments? May I have Ms. Wonicky?
Madam Chair, just a new subject. We finally got our 2040 plans in our mailboxes.
Mhm.
A lot of work and goes into this document, and it discusses the future, future vision of what we would like to see in Kane County. And there's several sections such as open space, green infrastructure, water resources and water conservation, sustainability and energy. So
Mhm.
please pick it up and read it. It's a great document.
Now, that's been out for a while, right?
It was out online, but I think a lot of the new members never received hard copies.
I've had a copy of that for 2 or 3 years. And I
Yeah.
can't remember how I got it.
Maybe
But,
through the Sierra Club, maybe.
or I went to a meeting and I grabbed it.
Grabbed it. Yeah.
So
So,
it's wonderful.
uh-huh.
For my speech when I was running for office, I said, in case you're wondering what I've been reading lately, what for light reading. I've
Yeah,
been
it's
reading
got
the
great
2040 plan.
information. It does.
Yeah, it's inspiring too.
Yes.
Who wrote it? Did you?
The Plan Commission, the King County Plan Commission is
Okay.
the one who really, they spent several months putting it together.
It's really wonderful. And it's something to not let collect dust on the shelf.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the growth is pushing this way. I think it's important. They talk about boundary agreements and
Mhm.
important issues. So,
Okay.
Yep.
May I have a motion? Thank you for those comments. That's great. I have a motion to place the reports on file?
Caius moves.
Alan moves.
Who's
Alan
that?
seconds.
Who's second? Alan?
Sure.
Okay, Alan, Caius moves, Alan seconds. Please call the roll.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wojnicki,
yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes. There's no executive session needed. And so without further ado, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Wallace move.
Wallace
Strathman,
moves,
second.
Strathman seconds. All in favor? Voice
Aye.
vote? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for your
you.
continuing
Thank you. Thank you,
help
Madam
and
Chair.